कल जब दोनों सदन के सदस्य को राष्ट्रपति जी संबोधित करेंगे, उसके बाद मैं मानता हूं कि ये कोई पार्टीबाजी नहीं हो करके, कोई पॉलिटिकल आइडियोलॉजी, कोई पॉलिटिकल पार्टी, कोई इस गुट उस गुट का नहीं, एक भारतीय होने के नाते हम संविधान दिवस को मनाएंगे।
All right, well, joining us now, Sulaiman Mohammad Khan of the Congress Party. We're also joined by Shazia Elmi of the BJP and the political analyst Amitabh Tiwari. Sulaiman Mohammad Khan, let me come to you first. The Prime Minister isn't speaking on Constitution Day. It's only the Vice President, the President and the Vice President. That being the case, why does the Congress feel that the government is being unfair to you?
It is. It's a matter of fact. The government is being unfair to us. In the parliament today, when a motion of adjournment was moved under Rule 267 for a discussion on the Adani scam, was not allowed. Tomorrow we are celebrating the Constitution Day, which is secular and socialist. Now this BJP government is trying to make this constitution or our country a communal and a capitalist country. We have no problem with capitalism, but power and resources of the country in few hands, that is a matter of disputes. These are the same people when on 26th of November 1949, the constitution was adopted. On 30th of November 1949, the mouthpiece of the RSS organizers said that they attacked the constitution and said that it does not draw inspiration from Manusmriti. These are the same people. And on 11th of January 1950, when the Republic of India was born, before 15 days before that, that was 26th January, they directly attacked Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So these are the same people who want to completely destroy the constitution, and it's not that the constitution in one day will be changed. What
are you suggesting, Sulaiman, that the constitution will be destroyed by the President and the Vice President of India? Because they are speaking, the Prime Minister isn't? That's a fairly shocking observation if that's what you're suggesting. That the President of India is biased enough to ruin the constitution by speaking about it?
It's not directly about people. It's not about President or Vice President. It's about people who are running the show right now.
No, but one second.
What is happening in Sambhal?
It's about the President, Sulaiman, and the Vice President who will be speaking. Your argument may have had merit if the Prime Minister was speaking. Kiren Rijiju has stated that the Prime Minister is not speaking. So then what's your problem?
No, President and Vice President may speak, but the issue remains the same. Why is the government saving an industrialist? Why it's not discussing important issues? Why?
No, I think you're mixing up issues completely. And this isn't because... I think you're mixing up issues entirely. If you're talking about the Constitution and the values of the Constitution, how are you mixing up issues you want to bring up in Parliament with that? And you're saying this repeatedly. It's one thing to argue and talk about the Constitution and its values. But then, you know, I mean, why mix up issues?
I am going on the eve of the Constitution Day. It is my duty to remind the government and every authority in the country that this Constitution has to be preserved. What happened in Kunargi? Unconstitutionalism. What happened in Sambhal? Complete unconstitutional at the best of the UP.
Okay, hold on. Let me get a response. Sulaiman, hold on a second. Shazia, respond to that. He says, Sulaiman says that the Constitution is being destroyed and therefore that's something which the opposition wants to address. Please respond.
So first of all, let me remind Sulaiman about a few things because he seems to be very muddled up. One, we're talking about the Constitution Day, which is being celebrated as it should be, and it is being done as it's been done every year in the last 75 years. And apart from that, he's mentioning what's happened in Sambhal, which is extremely unfortunate, but I don't know what is the connection with the Constitution Day. Yes, in the days of Congress rule, we've seen many, many more riots and terrible rioting, which indeed is reduced to a big degree. But even then, whatever is happening in Sambhal is a matter of worry and concern for everybody. Another fact that Kiren Rijiju, that I would attribute to the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, that he said very clearly that every issue would be discussed. One is not going away from any issue. he talked about capitalism and Bharatiya Janata Party bringing it in. Now, we have stated many facts as to the company concerned that they're talking about, and the conglomerate concerned has been a beneficiary of many such contracts of the Congress governments, and even in yesteryears when the Congress was in power at the center. Now, when we talk about the 4 states, none of the 4 states where this business group has invested in or has been awarded contracts has very much have had a non-BJP chief minister in the period February 2021 to 22. So I don't know what is being discussed by Suleiman here. I am rather confused as to what they want to get at. And it is exactly this politics which is so negative, which is negativity for the sake of it, that is being used, which is not cutting any ice with the people. So I don't know. And as for Baba Saheb Ambedkar, we all know how twice he was defeated from Bombay by Congress party, how emergency has been imposed, murdering the spirit of the constitution, and how so many amendments have been made ever since, maximum of course by the Congress government and during the time of Indira Gandhi. So I don't know what is exactly being discussed. I wish Suleiman was more specific about what exactly does he have an issue with, and I could then answer as to what really bothers him about the celebration of Constitution Day.
Let me just go across to Amitabh. Amitabh, this entire debate is taking place politically at one level, but there's also been an important Supreme Court decision where the Supreme Court said on a challenge on whether the word socialist and secular should remain in the preamble of the Constitution because they were inserted in 1976. The Supreme Court has made it clear and has asked the question, why should we now try and remove these? How significant is this assertion or this observation from the Supreme Court? In fact, it's an order.
No, I think it is very significant because India continues to be a socialist secular country, and I don't think any of the political parties which are present in the ecosystem today are opposed to it. It's also important from a viewpoint that this has been one of the amendments to the Constitution, correct? This was inserted later, as you mentioned, in 1970s. But it also does not take away the fact that amendments cannot be made to the Constitution. Change is the only constant. And whenever there is such a situation which demands an amendment to a constitution, that will be made, whether it is abrogation of Article 370, etc., etc. See, when we talk about saving the constitution and the Constitution Day being celebrated tomorrow, I think there is no better example to highlight that our constitution is safe and our democracy is strong, that a party which opposes the abrogation of Article 370 has actually won a state election and is ruling in that state. A party which whose leader was thrown behind the bars for alleged corruption scandals or irregularities has actually won an election and is ruling in that state. So I mean, the constitution is thriving, if you say, and as you mentioned, the opposition is trying to mix many issues. They have the right under the articles relevant to raise adjournment motion, but it's also at the prerogative of the speaker to let when that topic will be discussed, and is already said that all the topics which are going to be raised by the opposition will be discussed in the due course of time. It's a long session and all relevant topics will be discussed.
Sure.
Is what he said.
I just want to have a small intervention here.
Yeah.
It was at the behest of Baba Saheb Ambedkar and many others who were part of the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly that the word secular, though discussed beforehand, was not inserted, because that was how it is meant to be. On the entire Constitution, every clause of it spells out the spirit of secularism. There is no discrimination on the basis of religion or caste or class in any way or creed whatsoever, including gender. So I don't know. And if they are really keen to keep the spirit of the Constitution going, then they should be all right with the Article 44, which talks about the Uniform Civil Code, now being called Secular Code. So I think they're very confused even about the Constitution and what they stand on the Constitution and Baba Saheb Ambedkar ji's Constitution stands for.
Suleiman, I know you want to come in, but just bear with me for my question, which is this. And then make your points. I was reading an article by Shashi Tharoor today in the Indian Express where he said, and I quote, "Over the past decade, the Constitution and the values it embodies, especially those of liberty, equality and fraternity, all woven together by secular pluralism, have been threatened. Its most seminal contributions to the idea of India, that of the primacy of liberty and autonomy and of the individual citizen being the true custodian of a republic, has been brutalized." Now, these are his words. If the president or the vice president are to speak about the idea of India and the importance of valuing the heart and soul of the Constitution, isn't this something that you should encourage? The Congress should say, please go right ahead and please help us reassert why the Constitution is important. Surely that is what the president and the vice president will speak about, protecting exactly what you're talking about, the heart and soul of the Constitution. Go ahead, Suleiman.
I think the network is not good, but still
I can hear you.
I get your question. Yeah. So what is the Congress party's assertion? It is uphold the Constitution. President and vice president can make speeches. We have no problem. But the problem is the Constitution is not upheld in the letter and the spirit. It has been made to be executed. What Shazia was saying, Ms. Shazia was saying that secular and socialist was not there in the Constitution, because the spirit of the Constitution is the same. If she has a problem for inclusion of those words, then she should say so. The Constitution is completely secular and socialist. Now that is the problem. How the constitutional authorities have been denigrated and degraded one by one. How Election Commission, SEBI, etc., everyone. We are saying that please uphold the Constitution. Now what you have been doing for 10 years, talk about Manipur. 1.5 year a state has been burned. Shazia talk about emergency. We said long ago that was a mistake.
Yes.
We did wrong.
Yes, and I want to talk about Manipur and
half a second, let him finish his point.
You will never say you have committed
next.
wrong, because people and Mr. Modi, they will never accept their mistakes. What the opposition is saying, please uphold the spirit of the Constitution. Have an election in a form, have an election commission which is completely unbiased, have constitutional institutions which is unbiased. What has happened in Kudarki is unconstitutional. What has happened in Sambal, unconstitutionalism. What has happened in Rampur on 5th of December 2022 when people were not allowed to vote, that was unconstitutional, and many bigger issues. But, you know, president and vice president and the prime minister and other people who are connected in this parliamentary system, they can say good words, but that has to be reflected on the ground.
All right, okay. All right, I take the point that you're making. Shazia,
I'm very happy
yes.
about the fact that instead of Vishnu, he was clear this time. He spoke about Manipur. Earlier, he spoke about Manipur and he spoke about B.R. Ambedkar ji, and he spoke about capitalist India and Sambal. So now he was more specific. Now, yes, I think it's very important that we discuss Manipur. We discussed that Manipur has had precedence rule 10 times.
As the Prime Minister went to Manipur in 1.5 years,
and what is happening
he has
today
been all
also,
around the world with the Prime Minister.
No, Suleiman, the way we do it over here is we try not to fight with each other and interrupt.
Manipur is not in India.
No, 1 second. Suleiman, let her make her point. She didn't interrupt when you did. So, you know, we try and do it this way on this program. Please go ahead, Shazia.
So there have been horrible ethnic clashes for years and years. And Manipur has been under precedence rule more than almost 10 times. I think 10 times specifically. I don't know about more than that. And it's happened in the 60s and the 70s and even later once. So Manipur is a burning issue. It is terrible that the kind of strife that is being seen there is a cause of. No. It has to be discussed, and Parliament is the best place for it. It is time you go there and ask questions of the government, as is your mandate. So please do that. But instead of just declaring beforehand and just making a whole lot of comments which are based on subjective hate and not logic, doesn't make sense. And as for the Constitution Day, if only the President and Vice President are speaking, what is wrong with that? It is part of the usual normal protocol. Why would you have an issue with this? Do you want to have an issue do you want to invent one when none exists? It seems like that you would have more credibility if you were to sit in the Parliament instead of walking out and having another washout session. It's very important, Suleiman, that you sit there and ask the very questions that you're asking. And you ask yourself the same question also, that what has been the history of Manipur?
You are saying
and what has happened when it comes to one business conglomerate that you kept,
I understand.
You kept shouting slogans, my dear friend, today also we heard them. You should ask your own party and you lead by example. You throw out somebody like Ashok Gehlot.
All right, okay, all right, both of you, that's fine for now. Let us just hope that, no, one sec, everyone, debate is ending because I am based on time. Now, it is important, one would hope that the true values of the Constitution are always maintained and sustained. Let's see what the President and the Vice President have to say in this, and let us all hope for the sake of our democracy that we can be true to our Constitution. I think all of you accept and agree on that. We're going to move on now to another huge topic, a pressing topic, and that, of course, is what's going to happen in Maharashtra in terms of the selection of the Chief Minister. Now, the BJP's performance in these elections has been resounding. The Shiv Sena, led by Eknath Shinde, has done extremely well. So has Ajit Pawar's NCP. So therefore, the question of who's going to take over as Chief Minister isn't really a set piece which has been decided. Earlier today, I spoke with China NC, now with the Shiv Sena, and Niranjan Shetty of the BJP to ask them about whether either side was willing to take a step back to let the other have the chief ministerial post. Joining us now, China NC, senior leader of the Shiv Sena Shinde, and Niranjan Shetty, senior leader of the BJP. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Wouldn't it be interesting for our viewers if the two of you started fighting with each other on this program on who's going to be the next chief minister? But since I suppose you won't, let me ask China the first question. China, why do you believe that the Shiv Sena Shinde, or the Shiv Sena itself, should have Mr. Eknath Shinde continue as chief minister?
So for starters, let me please say, Vishnu, that whether it's Eknath Shinde ji, Devendra Fadnavis ji, or Ajit Pawar ji, there has been a great synergy between all three leaders as the Mahayuti, and the only agenda has been to make sure Maharashtra is on the track to progress and path to progress. There is no question of one-upmanship or wanting only lust for power. Unlike the Mahavinash Aghadi, which chose to throw its ideology into the dustbin and chose to only have this kind of an agenda, which was a false narrative, making sure that, you just see that you are the chief minister at any cost, throwing the ideology of Adanya Hindu Hriday Samrat Balasaheb Thackeray. The fact is that in the current scenario, you have a mandate which is unprecedented. But obviously, Eknath Shinde ji, as Chief Minister of Maharashtra, was the one leading the show from the Lok Sabha elections up until now, till the Assembly elections. And we have seen the Ladki Behna Yojana of the Honorable Chief Minister being an absolute success. Having said that, we have always maintained that it is the decision of the Mahayuti leadership that will take a decision on the formation of the government. And of course, in the days to come, how one should proceed. And proceed in the interest of the people of Maharashtra being paramount. So, yes, every political party is entitled to its own leader, the aspiration of the cadre that its own leader should become the chief minister of the state. And in this case, Eknath Shinde ji, as a mass leader on ground, has done incredible work, which is known to one and all. And he's pretty much been the captain of the ship and the captain of the match from the Lok Sabha elections up until the Assembly elections. Okay. So that being the thought process, this is not at all about one-upmanship, but this is about what the facts are on ground.
All right. Niranjan ji, how would you respond to those who say that Ajit Pawar, the third partner in the alliance, actually holds the key, that there would be a, depending on where Mr. Ajit Pawar feels or in a sense votes, that's where the chief ministership would lie, and there are indicators that perhaps he may back Devendra Fadnavis. Is that what you're hearing as well?
I think that these are all the Vishnu, these are all the media goof-ups, and basically what I have seen early in the morning, that categorically Mr. Ajit Pawar himself has spoken to the media that they will discuss and sit. And today, as we all know, that Amit Shah ji has called our all the three leaders, Devendra ji, Eknath Shinde ji, and Ajit Pawar ji. So basically, all this discussion, as Shaina ji said, will be discussed along with these leaders, and it will be a very fruitful meeting meeting, and thereafter they will come out with a consensus, and probably by late night or early in the morning, we might hear a good news that the Maharashtra CM will be declared by tomorrow probably around 12 p.m. in the morning.
By tomorrow afternoon, you're saying, or perhaps even later tonight? Niranjanji, did you say that there would be a name which would be announced? When will the name be announced?
Sorry?
When will the name be announced? Did you say 12 p.m. tomorrow?
I said today, let the meeting get, let it be held first, and thereafter I said probably there's a lot of time over there, but what I have the sources, from the sources, I can just assure you, but tomorrow by probably around 12 p.m., you might hear a good news from us, from all the three leaders. And basically, I think let's not come to any conclusion right now. There's no infighting between any of our party leaders. And as Shainaji said, for us, the priority was to, defeat this Mahavinash Aghadi, and that we have done. And we are it's just few hours away that, the Maharashtra state will get its a good and efficient leader who will, lead the Maharashtra for the progress and the development.
So, Niranjanji, given the fact that the BJP has done extremely well in Maharashtra this time, wouldn't it be difficult for even leaders like you to tell your party cadre that, look, somebody other than Devendra Fadnavis might be what the coalition wants? Assuming that I am correct, doesn't it mean that therefore, as far as the BJP is concerned, there is no alternative but Devendra Fadnavis?
No, see, it's not like that. There are many alternatives in various parties. But yes, of course, Devendra is one among them who's very natural leader, and he's a mass leader by now, and everyone knows. Even Shainaji would agree for that, because the way he has tackled Sharad Pawar, or for that matter, Uddhav Thackeray, and the way how he teamed up with Eknath Ji and Ajit Pawar, and thereafter he went to the polls. And all these yojanas or strategies was been planned well in advance, and Devendra is known to, a well organizer and a planner. So basically, in our party itself, of course, we would like to see Devendra ji, and he has proved his potential during his 5 years tenure. If you ask a common man, if you ask a businessman, they will name Devendra Fadnavis as he should lead. And just in the morning, I spoke to some of my association members. They were saying, yes, we want Devendra Fadnavis to see as a CM here once again. But of course, that is my request as a BJP member or a BJP party worker. They can have their own, but I'll assure you that all three leaders will sit together and come to a good decision, and probably by tomorrow morning, we will get a good news.
Shaina, could there be a split chief ministership for the duration of this government?
I'm sure there are lots of different possibilities, because Vishnu, let's not forget that Eknath Shinde as the chief minister in the past 2.5 years has done phenomenally well for the state, and the contribution of the Shiv Sena to the Lok Sabha elections, as has been for the assembly elections. Like when you have a cricket match, you have one captain who leads the team. And of course, you may have a man of the match also. But the point is that it is by consensus that the team decides who should go ahead and lead. And I would only want to say that Eknath Shinde is a common man's chief minister. He is a mass leader. He has worked tirelessly on ground, which we have all seen, whether it's the Ladki Behna Yojana, which has been an absolute success, which has percolated down to 2.5 crore homes of women who have voted very seriously for us, where they have got 7,500 rupees directly in their bank account. So I feel that you have to view this in totality. Let the Mahayuti leadership sit and decide with all three leaders. As I said, the difference between the Mahavinash Aghadi and the Mahayuti is this, that the Mahavinash Aghadi would not even compromise on anything. It's only for lust for power and for the seat of the chief minister. They compromised on their principles and their ideologies of Adarnya Hindu Hriday Samrat Balasaheb Thackeray as opposed to us who have only worked for the interest of the people of Maharashtra and to make sure that Maharashtra becomes the #1 state all over again. Whether you look at the infrastructure projects that Eknath Shinde, Devendra Fadnavis and Ajit Pawar worked on, it could be the metro, the Trans-Harbour Link, the coastal road, the Atal Setu, the list is endless. And on the opposite side, you only had a destructive politics, which was stall the bullet train, stall the refinery, stall the Dharavi project, stall. So that's the difference. And when it comes to government formation, we know it's the leadership that decides and the cadre that just adheres. Yes, but everyone can have their own expectations and their desires. And I'm sure that the cadre of the Shiv Sena is as entitled as the cadre of the BJP to want their chief minister to be continuing.
That's an important statement. So, Niranjanji, last word to you. Could there be a split chief ministership, or do you believe the formula of one chief minister and 2 deputy chief ministers is something that's worked and needs to keep working? Whoever the person selected is.
Sorry, come back again.
No, I'm saying, does the formula of a chief minister and 2 deputy chief ministers work, or how do you actually see it?
Eyebrows correct.
I'm actually, Vishnu, I'm too small to comment on that. Basically, whatever the formula would be there, it will be in the larger interest of the state of Maharashtra. Yes, of course, that worked. Of course, the previous government run that way, and there's no harm to keep in that continuity of the same. Everybody, their leaders like NCP, Shiv Sena or BJP, when Devendra Fadnavis was the past CM, he was a former CM. In spite of that, he accepted the deputy responsibility and he carried that shouldered in a very perfect manner. And thereafter, we can see that there is no, basically, even through your channel, I would like to say there will be so many people trying to, get into that. Then, like Uddhav Thackeray said, Eknath Shinde would work under Devendra Fadnavis. What Uddhav Thackeray should understand that Eknath Shinde had worked under the leadership of Devendra Fadnavis in the past. So there is no question of that. And basically, whatever it is within our Mahayuti, we will discuss it and we'll come back.
All right.
And I don't think so there is any kind of dispute amongst us. So whatever the state political parties and our national Narendra Modi ji and Amit Shah ji will decide, all 3 will agree
All
for
right.
that, and we will take the state to the, with a proper, create a proper infrastructure and a development.
Right. Well,
in the near future.
both of you sounding like diplomats on this program, asserting your point very delicately and not lost to anybody at the same time, and yet being conciliatory at the same time. We'll see what happens. Niranjanji, I'll hold you to it, 12 p.m. tomorrow. And we'll see one way or the other what's going to happen.
But
thank you
Vishnu,
both.
I think the tagline should be that every decision is taken in the interest of the people of Maharashtra and for the progress of Maharashtra.
Absolutely.
That being the fundamental cause and the
Well, that's
not
something
the
that
lust
both of you,
power
I'm sure,
or just
agree on. I
the
think
prestige.
everybody agrees on
So
that.
5 years of the development, you will see a lot of changes. Metros on the this thing, on the track, coastal road on the track, all infrastructure on the track.
Okay.
Now our next
Let's get the
target
Chief
is
Minister on the track as well. Thank you both very much for being with us.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. As he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
ऐसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए.
In the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं.
NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app.
Centuries by Yashasvi Jaiswal and Virat Kohli, followed by Jasprit Bumrah's magnificent bowling, helped India beat Australia by 295 runs in the first test of the 5-match series. Chasing 534, Australia kept on losing wickets at regular intervals as India bundled them out for 238. For India, Mohammad Siraj and Jasprit Bumrah scalped 3 wickets each, while Washington Sundar took 2 wickets. The cricket board has released a clip of the celebration after this historic win. Let's take a look.
While it was Jasprit Bumrah on day 3 that tore through the top order of Australia, it was Mohammad Siraj's turn on day 4 as he got the prize wicket of Usman Khwaja and then sent Steve Smith back to the pavilion. Travis Head and Mitchell Marsh got together and tried to counter-attack.
He certainly is.
But Captain Fantastic Jasprit Bumrah took charge of the situation and sent the dangerous Travis Head back. And after Mitchell Marsh departed of this delivery of debutant Nitish Reddy, Australia's lower order didn't last long. India registering its 3rd biggest victory by runs away from home and jumping to the top of the World Test Championship table.
And there's that moment. Jasprit Bumrah as captain has achieved what no one expected. Come on.
Well, before we talk about this victory and what it means for India's prospects, and before we get down to that discussion on Yashasvi Jaiswal, let's listen to what Captain Bumrah had to say.
पहले भी बोल चुका हूँ कि विराट कोहली को हमारी ज़रूरत नहीं है, हमको उनकी ज़रूरत है. वो एक्सपीरियंस प्लेयर है, उनका ये 4था-5वां टूर है. सो वो अपना क्रिकेट किसी और से ज़्यादा, सबसे ज़्यादा वो जानते हैं. वो अच्छे शेप में लगी रहते, वो अच्छे मेंटली स्विच्ड ऑन थे. समटाइम्स इतना लंबा करियर होता है, कभी कभी आप टफ सिनेरियोज में बैटिंग करते हो. वो हमेशा से टफ सिनेरियोज में बैटिंग करते आए हैं, तो हमेशा हर मैच में करना मुश्किल हो जाता है. बट वो काफ़ी अच्छे फॉर्म में और काफ़ी अच्छे स्पेस में लग रहे थे. एंड ऑब्वियसली फर्स्ट इनिंग्स में उनको एक अच्छा डिलीवरी आ गई, बट ही वाज स्टिल इन ग्रेट स्पेस. और सेकंड इनिंग में उन्होंने कैपिटलाइज किया. काफ़ी उस टाइम एक्सपीरियंस बैटर चाहिए था कि वो साथ खेले भी और आगे साथ वाले को खिलाए भी. सो उसके लिए वी आर वेरी हैप्पी. मेरे लिए अगर मैन ऑफ द मैच देना है तो मैं जायसवाल को भी दे सकता हूँ. जायसवाल, the second after a disappointing first innings, I think this was his best test knock so far because he has an attacking nature. But in that second innings, he left certain balls as well, and he took his time and batted deep. So that gives us a lot of confidence that he has an attacking game, but he has patience as well, and he's ready to adapt to changes. So that's a brilliant and a positive sign for us going further in Indian cricket, that a batsman is able to adapt, and that early in his career. He's the captain of our side, and he's done a phenomenal job. I was filling in for him, so yeah, I still had discussions when he was in India,